Hello everyone, and thank you for tuning into Electric Bike Journal.
Hey, cool bike, man. Looks just like mine. So they're the same, right?
They actually are two new bikes from Aventon that are the same in many ways, but also have some big differences. Do you want to know more about them?
Yeah, let's get into that.
All right, here we go.
I don't know what he's talking about. These are exactly the same. These are the same bike. You're crazy, man.
Well, they are the same bike in the name, but one of the biggest changes in the Aventure M, which is the one you're standing next to, is it has the Aventon mid-drive system, that A100 mid-drive system that they developed that came on the Rambless. And this one over here, the Aventure 3, has that classic hub drive motor that you're familiar with in the Aventure series.
And are they all the same class ratings?
They are the same class ratings. They both have an option for a throttle. The Aventure 3 comes with a throttle on there. The Aventure M has an optional throttle that you can get on there, but you can interchange the different class settings through the app, where you can do a lot of things through that Aventon app.
Now, I saw with the Abound, the new cargo bike lineup, we're seeing the same battery on those. Is this have the same battery as those bikes?
Another cool thing about the updates that Aventon has done is that there is interchangeable batteries in a lot of those newer bikes. So you are able to use the same battery in multiple different bikes, which is pretty convenient.
Cool. And what is this thing right here, this black thing on top that says Aventon?
With a lot of the new updates to the Aventon lineup, they have that ACU, and that ACU technology is where you can access things like GPS, so you can track your bike if it goes missing. You can geofence the bike. There are a lot of security features that you can access with the ACU unit. You can lock that rear wheel, so when you park the bike, it's not going to roll at all, which is very nice. And plus a lot of other features that we go into detail in each of the reviews of these newer bikes.
Now, what's the price difference between these two models?
So there definitely is a price difference when you're going to be talking about the mid-drive versus the hub drive in the Aventure 3 and the Aventure M. The Aventure 3 in front of me is $1,999, and that one over there is $2,699.
Well, you've given me a lot to think about. I think we all have a lot to think about. I say we go for a ride and kind of see how those differences pan out, and maybe makes one make more sense for someone else.
Yeah, they're definitely going to be for two different type of riders, so let's go talk about who that's going to be for. So you got a little chance to ride this on the concrete. What do you think of each of these bikes?
Well, I mean, general feel between both nearly identical. Handling, maneuvering, just pedaling around, very, very similar. I did notice that the 3, as opposed to the M, with the hub drive over the mid drive on the pavement so far, felt a little bit easier. Kind of went through the different modes, felt that torque sensor actually work by pushing harder. But just general pedaling, just cruising, this one felt more fluent and just easy. And it coming with the throttle, it's pretty nice. You just hit that button and can cruise. So I did, however, notice they have different shifters and different amount of gears. What's up with that?
Yeah, so that's one of the big differences in both of these bikes is the Aventure 3 over there has an 8-speed drivetrain on there, where the Aventure M, a little more performance oriented. So it's got a 10-speed drivetrain and it also has auto shift.
Okay.
So what is really neat is that auto shift feature is built into this computer here, where you can change the auto shift to your liking, and it'll change the gear based on your cadence. If you want to change that to your preference, like if you like pedaling at a lower cadence, I like a higher cadence, so I have it a little higher. You can change that and it'll do all the shifting for you, which is very convenient.
Yeah.
And I've only experienced that on like very high-end bikes, like the Moots Express, which is a $10,000 e-bike. So
yeah, with the Shimano stuff.
Exactly.
And this being Shimano, I guess it kind of makes sense. Obviously a different electronic shifting mechanism proprietary to Aventon, but that's mounted to the chainstay there and is able to connect to their system. And I think the cadence thing, you're right, on the pavement, having that higher cadence is gonna be nice, but when we get out on some dirt, I think I might have to drop that cadence down a little bit so the auto shift is helping me in case it gets steep.
All right, let's go hit the gravel.
Yeah, let's get off the pavement. Well, thankfully for us, we were able to get the fat tire bikes out onto some dirt to really change up the scenery and see how it feels in that environment, because I do think that these are meant for and definitely favor some off-road terrain. So what are your big takeaways? We both hopped back and forth. What are you noticing up front?
So right away, you kind of notice we don't have too many hills we're riding right now, but I've ridden on some of the steeper hills and everything. And when you have that hub drive motorbike on like the Aventure 3, you feel the weight is definitely in the back more.
Yeah, absolutely.
So with this A100 mid-drive motor here, it's more centered. So you feel more planted actually, because the center of balance is easier. And plus, this has the same motor as the Rambless and has 100 Newton meters of torque. We've ridden the Rambless up some very steep stuff, up
Very
and
steep.
down.
Yeah.
So you do feel the power on this mid-drive bike.
Yeah, it definitely felt a little bit more refined between the two systems. Obviously, the weight bias was there. You know, you feel a little bit of that weight in the back, as you should, because that's where the weight is. The M, the mid-drive, felt a little bit more, I guess, sprightly, playful, because the weight was underneath you.
Yeah, and this one, the Aventure M, coming as what Aventon is saying, a little more performance oriented. So you're getting 10-speed drivetrain versus the A100 motor, you know, more reactive, like it's on their mountain bike, so more
Yeah.
performance. And you're also getting SRAM DB4 brakes, so a better brake system than the Tektro, but the Tektro work fine as they are. But if you're going to be paying more and having more of a performance bike, having the DB4 brakes on here is definitely helpful.
Yeah, and they're definitely noticeably more powerful and just a little bit more sensitive on the brake feel. Not to say I do not dislike these Tektros. They're very nice brakes as well.
And a reason that a lot of, you know, higher end electric mountain bikes, those, you know, up to $10,000 EMTBs, have the mid-drive motor, just like on here, is you just get a better pedal feel. It is a more natural, like you're getting what you put out of it. It's you plus some. It's not like the motor feels like it's doing a lot more when you're on a hub drive bike, just because it's pushing you more. But like you're pushing with this and you're getting that feedback a little more instantly compared to the hub motor on a hub motor bike.
Yeah, and definitely, without a doubt, if I was riding dirt roads, gravel roads, wanting to venture out in some single track, maybe boondocking a little bit, I personally am going to favor that mid-drive for the very reason why, as you said, mid-drive performance mountain bikes are where that market share is for a reason. Weight bias, general performance, it works better in that application.
And if the trail does get a little more technical, from my experience having the mid-drive, just helps you get around those things. Not get around them, but you can maneuver over the technical features a little better. You get a little more better feel out of each pedal stroke. You're not just getting pushed along. You're really just pedaling with it.
It's almost like you get like the minor refinement of like part of a pedal stroke.
Yeah.
The motor's able to work with you there, as opposed to these, you might get that full pedal stroke in, and then it gets going, and a big ramp up, and you're like, whoa, hey, slow down a bit. But
plus a little bit in the more technical, like we're not riding these on technical stuff, but we did take the other Aventure 2 on mountain bike trail.
Yeah.
But you know, the weight centered on the bike here, gonna handle a little better.
Definitely
when it
noticeable.
counts. Like when you're really going for it, you want that center of weight. But this, for like mellow cruising, we're on a nice state park here that you're allowed to ride on those multi-use trails. Like you're cruising on a hub drive bike, but once you're gonna get into more performance-oriented riding, or if you want to feel like you're a performance rider, definitely this mid-drive bike
absolutely
has a better feel.
Absolutely. Well, I think you know, that's a good segue into what we were trying to talk about here, is that performance, steeper, hilly environment. So we're gonna jump over to some hills and really see how they do side by side. I'll let Samson take over on that one. Just be the same weight, same rider, same skill set, everything same, to see how they come through and what the standouts are there.
Quick little overview of what the hill climb test is going to consist of. Got a road climb that I'm going to do in eco and turbo on both of the bikes on a quick but steep pitch of road that goes up to 15%. Then a single track with some ups and downs and some tree roots. Then a turn that goes to a fairly steep uphill. See how the bikes do. Here we go for the on the road hill test on the Aventure 3 right now. We're gonna go in eco and, you know, heavier bike, but I'm already in the easiest gear. and just gonna go for it. This is a steep one. Does max out at 15%, so it's not an easy one at all. And if we had this off, we wouldn't be going this fast, but right now, 9 miles an hour. And I'm putting a decent amount of effort in, and I will do for each lap. But here we go. Yes, this is some work to do it. And can't wait to get this in turbo on the next lap. But getting towards the top at 8 miles an hour. There we go. All right, here we go in turbo mode. I already know this is gonna be better, but let's see how we go. Just a little rolling start, but here we go. And gonna put in around the same effort as I did before, and started in the lowest gear, and here we go in turbo. Already over 13 miles an hour, there's 14. I definitely don't feel it in my legs as much, and I know I'm going much, much quicker uphill, which is great. So turbo for hill climbing on the Adventure 3, totally awesome. Here's the road hill climb on the Aventure M. Keeping it in eco for the first run, and it's got auto shift too, but I moved it down because you can override that to gear 1, which is the easiest gear. And right away on this climb, even in eco, you feel that motor giving you a lot of power actually, and you feel that torque. This thing's got a lot of torque. Even though it's only got a 250 watt motor, I'm cruising right now at 10 miles an hour. Actually, not too much effort. So this bike's feeling pretty good going uphill with all of that torque in eco. There we are, pretty easy. Okay, here we go. Turbo mode, Aventure M. Started in gear 1 like before, and have that auto shifting on. It's shifted already for me because I have my cadence set to change around 70. And putting in the same effort as before, but going, 12 miles an hour this time. So definitely faster, but doesn't feel significantly faster. But you definitely feel that torque from the motor pushing uphill with ease. Really, this is a strong motor. So turbo mode, Adventure M, success. Here's a little dirt climb. It's a fun little one. Gets flat, gets a little steep, not as steep, but we're starting in eco here on the Adventure 3. And solid job of giving good power for sure. And even with that hub motor, you do feel some of the weight in the back, but not too much. Kind of feel it more when you hit some roots like that. But yeah, eco mode, definitely a good job of not pushing you forward too much. It is definitely giving us a boost and totally capable of this little climb right here. The bike does feel planted, and we like that. So solid job cruising up a little dirt hill climb. And when it gets to the areas that are a little more rooted, you gotta work a little bit to get up on, but here comes a steeper section. Put this into sport mode just to give us a little more of a boost, but handles well going up and through these little turns here, so totally capable riding off-road. Here's that little stretch of dirt, a little bit of a climb, and just keeping the Adventure M in eco mode, and it's doing a good job of feeling the input that I'm putting into it. It handles very good, actually. I think it's the weight that is more centered on this bike. So using that A100 motor, same as the Rambless, I've you know, it's got that pedal feel like the Rambler. It's not as nimble, but I don't feel it struggling to get over any of the little stumps or anything like that, or little tree roots actually, and great power. Like you feel the torque for sure with this motor. So very, very balanced off-road. I would say you do feel the difference going back to back from the Adventure 3 to this. You know, not everyone's gonna get that opportunity, but just note that if you're looking to do more of this stuff, definitely feels more balanced. So here's our little turn to a bit of a steeper climb. And yeah, that handled that with ease. You could feel that balance in that turn too, bike more centered. Good job of climbing the dirt trails.
Well, thank you for doing those hill climbs, taking that on for the team here. It kind of seems to me that the road and the dirt kind of felt different in both places. What's your bigger, broader takeaway from just that little test?
Yeah, I mean, just overall, they both do well in their situation, and different riders are going to want a different feel for the bike. Like, just coming from a cycling background, I prefer the mid-drive. But I know people that prefer a hub drive bike because just easier for them.
Yeah.
Comes with a throttle. Yes, you can add a throttle to that one, but it's gonna perform different than a throttle that's on a hub drive bike.
Yeah.
So it really comes down to the rider, I would say, for this. Personally, if I lived in the city and occasionally wanted to go, you know, into the woods, out in the trails, the Adventure 3 is great. You save yourself $700. You can get some nice accessories for this, you know, even get a trailer if you really want.
Yeah.
And that $700 can go a long way.
Pays for the trailer.
Yeah, but the one bike that I like performance, and I like how it feels to ride a bike that has all of my input in there, the balance. Personally, I like the M.
Yeah.
I'm familiar from riding the Ramblers, so I like that A100 motor, lots of torque, good speed. It says only 250 watts, which might turn some people down, or, you know, a little, like only 250 watts, but that's plenty of power once you put your own input into it.
Especially if you have the torque there.
Exactly, a lot of torque, and that's where you're really feeling the power, is like once you hit that, once it gets that torque hit, you're like, oh, wow, I'm climbing some steep stuff.
Yeah.
Not to put anything away from the motor, the hub motor that's on here.
No.
Just this 250 watts is, got a little, you're getting some bang out of that 250 watts.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree at all. I think, you know, for myself, I would opt to personally, regardless of my preference for performance, I would definitely favor the hub drive. I would go with the Adventure 3. I would save a few bucks, and because I want to own different bikes and multiple bikes and have too many bikes, that's just money towards that bike fund. Or maybe it's just easier to approach in general to get a bike where both of them have been super enjoyable. They've all done exactly the same thing. And there's little tiny moments here and there where one might shine a little bit different than the other. At the end of the day, we're having fun. We went out and did all the same things, and it just comes down to that personal preference and choice. If I was choosing just one bike and that's all I'm gonna have, yeah, I agree. Go with the M, that mid-drive, because that's what I favor. That's what you favor. It's gonna have that riding characteristic that we enjoy and have liked about e-bikes in general over the years. We don't hide that. We are frequent in saying how much we enjoy mid-drives and that platform. But yeah, cargo bikes, I like a hub drive. A bigger bike like this where I'm cruising and I'm not necessarily wearing all the gear, like, yeah, hub drive bike's great, a little bit more convenient. And again, the price point, the savings gets me out there and I'm having fun quickly.
Yeah, for that like grocery getter, for the daily, your daily rider, I'm all for hub drives.
Absolutely.
Price point gets you out there. You're saving time. You're just having a good time. You're still on a bike, which is great. But for like, yeah, since we are able to have multiple bikes, and I prefer the mid-drive for if I was gonna have one bike. But multiple bikes, this bike is that great. Hit the trails and go to the market as well. Throw the pannier bags on there, get a trailer.
It really comes down to, I think, ultimately, what are you looking to do with your bike for the majority of the time? You know, if it's a 50-50 split, I think best of luck to you in making your decision. But if it's a 70-30 or an 80-20, leaning towards pavement or leaning towards off-road excursions, I think you're gonna, hopefully this has been helpful to lead you towards wanting to lean towards one bike or the other and being able to justify the price difference and some of those extra features.
Yeah, or if you're coming for one of the previous Adventure models and you enjoyed that, but you wanted a little more out of it, perfect fit right there.
Well, we hope this has been helpful. We hope it's been insightful and that our kind of road, general gravel, some hill experiences have been brief enough to not bore you, but also thorough enough to show you a good time that we all had riding them and help steer you in the right direction towards getting the right bike.
And there will be individual reviews of each one so you can see more details about the specs of these bikes and hopefully inform you on which one you will take home with you.
Yeah, so thank you so much for watching. If you could help us out so much by clicking subscribe down below, helps our channel grow so we can continue to do videos like this. If there are any bikes that you would like to see us compare towards either of these or compare in general, or really any thoughts that you have, please share those down below. We'll do our best to answer, and if it's a great idea, maybe we'll try to put a new video together. So thank you again so much for watching. Catch you in the next one.